Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Marvel 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Today we're taking a look at Black Panther, aka Shuri, based off her appearance in Wakanda Forever. Now I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you are comfortable before buying. I have popped a link to their site in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new Marvel Hot Toys figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, the black and purple is what we're used to seeing from Black Panther boxes. But the red is new. And I'm here for it. I think it fits the vibe and it looks great. We've got an image of Shuri up front, in costume of course, a Black Panther Wakanda Forever logo, and her name down below. Plus they've added this almost holographic effect to the triangular pattern on the surface of her suit. So when light bounces off it, it reflects back a rainbow of colors. Hot Toys, keep experimenting with stuff like this. It just keeps it interesting. I reckon it looks genuinely dope. It adds an extra layer of depth to the front cover. They have been branching out recently with their boxes, from the clear plastic slipcovers to now the holographic printing. On the side of the box, her name, a Black Panther logo of sorts, and Wakanda Forever down below. Around the back, all of the boring stuff, warnings, legal information, as well as Hot Toys store locations. Now, this is how you do a slipcover. Whoever it was that designed this piece of artwork, well done, because I reckon it looks like something you'd see walking around on the streets of Wakanda. As for Shuri herself, I've been hearing really good things. Most of them are to do with the head sculpt, granted, but still I'm excited for everything else as well. First in-hand impressions? This figure is surprisingly heavy. I thought it would weigh about the same as the original, so I am pleasantly surprised. What we are going to do now is get all of her accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything she comes with. Starting off with the display base first, which is just done in the typical Hot Toys hexagonal style. Nice and low profile, compact, and you can have other hexagon bases pressed up right alongside it, saving you a ton of room in the display. As for the artwork, we've got this pattern done in high gloss, then the rest of it is textured and grippy, and a metallic purple panther head. But the purple hue only really reveals itself, like on the tip of the ear right there, when light bounces off the surface at the correct angle. So it all depends on how you're going to light this thing. Unfortunately, around the front, your eyes do not deceive you. There is no nameplate, and they don't include any stickers to rectify this. Hot Toys. If you are setting the precedent, unlike with the Advanced Suit 1.0, that all of your figures' bases have nameplates on them, you kinda need to give all of your figures' bases nameplates. I do not know why Shuri's base doesn't say Black Panther or Shuri. Or both, if they'd given us a swap out sticker for the nameplate itself. Anyway, up top, we've got an adjustable crotch grabber. These Panther Vibranium Blaster Gauntlet things, I know they're supposed to be Panthers. Something about the width of the snoot almost reminds me of those Chinese lion dogs that you see outside of Chinese restaurants. I'm terrible, I know. I'll show you what she looks like wearing both of these a little bit later on. They're made of a softer rubbery plastic, but not too soft. There's some texture on the surface, and there's also this shiny metallic gold paint for all of the accent pieces. I've never been a fan of discussing floating heads, so we will go into way more detail on both of these head sculpts, both unhelmeted and helmeted, when we pop them on the body. Besides the blasters, this is her only real handheld weapon, and they more than made up for it with the size and spikiness of this thing, because I just stabbed myself with this. It is made of plastic, but you can see how sharp the end of this weapon is. do be extremely careful when you're handling it. Don't spike yourself, learn from my mistake. The blade does have this mottled metal texture on the surface, and a wash over the gunmetal paint. Not enough to dull it down, it still looks quite shiny. The middle part for the handle has a wood grain effect on it. Then there's a darker wash on this almost knurled section for the bottom part. This is an interesting looking weapon. I'm just not sure if I'm going to have her displayed with it in my collection. Oh yeah, this is way more like it. These look much more like panther heads as compared to the wider, goofier ones for the extended versions of the vibranium gauntlets. I will pop these on her forearms when we get the figure herself out here. And lastly, we get some hands, ranging from these clawed hands with the metallic gold fingernails and some texture for the gloves, and some gold on the inside of the palms, to the very collapsed versions of the gauntlets, literally just on the hands themselves, but only one spear-holding hand. Hot Toys, your stinginess knows no bounds. That weapon is huge. I would have liked to have been able to have had Shuri holding it with two hands. Or even perhaps in her left hand. But no, we only get one gripping hand for the right side. And lastly, two closed fists already on her out of the box. What we're going to do now is get Shuri herself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. This is a killer looking Shuri Black Panther. The question is though, is she perfect? The answer? Maybe. There are a couple of little things that we do have to discuss. For the most part, I can already tell you, if you have this release on the way, you are going to be very, very happy. Proportions-wise, she looks like a real person shrunk down to 1/6 scale in the Black Panther suit just rotating around in front of us. This body has to be brand new for this figure. I don't think they could get away with reuse, so giving us a bespoke body with a tight-fitting suit, showing off the body underneath, and with it still looking as good as it does, that is no small feat. They managed to get it done, and make it look easy at the same time. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Shuri's helmeted head sculpt. We will try out the unhelmeted one in just a second, and I already have a feeling that while this one looks very solid, I'm probably going to go unhelmeted in my display. Now this is, for me, almost like the perfect blend between T'Challa, Killmonger, and Shuri all in one helmet design. It's slightly larger in scale on the body, so it looks like a real human head could foreseeably be inside this helmet. We've got the sculpted line work on the surface, the fangs down below, the Black Panther nose up front, the dots, which are reminiscent of Shuri's face paint from the first movie, then the silver, which is more of a T'Challa thing, and the gold, which gives me Killmonger vibes. So like I said, they've merged all of the designs for their various costumes into one sick-looking helmet. Dude, come on. This head sculpt is flawless. This is the shit right here. In my opinion, this is Hot Toys' best female head sculpt to date. Both in terms of likeness, I can see Letitia Wright from every angle, and detail. There's even some subtle bumpiness and unevenness to the skin on her forehead, which makes it look even more realistic. The braids are sculpted up on top, and they're tied up around the back. This is just rubbery plastic, so no worries when it comes to breakage. Was I the only one that didn't know Shuri had tattoos behind her ears? Because I certainly didn't. The more you know, I suppose. But this head sculpt does have a party piece. If you remove it, on the underside, two joysticks, because she has moving eyes. And simply by moving the eyes off to the side, you can alter the expression, making her look even more serious. Every head sculpt going forward needs to have moving eyes, because I reckon it's a game changer. The best part about moving eyes is that it's a completely unobtrusive feature. If you don't want to use them, you can forget all about them. It's not like back in the day where they added a ton of depth to the eye sockets and it made it look like every head sculpt with moving eyes had a decent amount of eyeliner on. Now they've perfected it and it looks so much better. The suit is made out of that same Black Panther signature Hot Toys rubbery material, which means there's texture on the surface, multiple different panels and patches and dots, and there's plenty to look at, is what I'm trying to say. But it's fragile, so you are going to want to be very careful with this suit when it comes to posing, especially with the helmet. If you have the underside of the helmet pressed up against the neck, over time, if you don't move the head sculpt around, the rubber can fuse to the plastic, so just make sure there's a gap underneath the neck so the two pieces don't stick to each other. I wanted to make mention of this gold strip on her forearm part for the sleeve is meant to look like it's connecting to the gold part on her hand. So bear that in mind when you're doing your futzing after you've done your posing. The suit does have that luminous reflective paint on the surface, and this time it's a bunch of teeny tiny little triangles. This is a neat effect, I just don't know how useful it is. It's there if you want it. If you have a black light in your display, the figure is covered in this from neck to toe because the head sculpt doesn't have the effect for some reason. In an ideal world, we would have it all. Accuracy, durability, and flexibility out of the suit material. I just don't know of a material that would allow Hot Toys to capture this much detail on the surface of the suit whilst being forgiving for dynamic posing. If you do, weigh in the comments below because Hot Toys have confirmed every now and then they check out a cheeky review on the channel. So there's a decent chance that someone in the R&D team may very well see your comment. Back to the suit, around the front you can see some musculature poking through, and some anatomy such as the collarbone up top underneath her panther tooth vibranium necklace. They've added the shoulder pads on her shoulders, and they are a little bit prickly, so do be careful when you're trying to pose her. Don't put too much pressure, especially on the middle one. That is very spiky. You can also add the gauntlet onto her forearms, so let's give that a go. I'm not so sure about this for a couple of reasons. Number one, they're quite bulky, so they thicken out her forearms, throwing off the proportions. And number two, they're made of sculpted plastic, and the teeth are quite sharp, so they may end up digging into the suit over time, and then when you try and remove them, the suit may have fused to the underside of the gauntlets. I'm tempted to slide them down over the wrist pegs, hiding them completely. I know this is not movie accurate, but now with them slid down, she looks entirely seamless from head to toe. Well, except for the seam around the back for the helmet. I love the throwback to the first Black Panther movie where Shuri just had those vibranium Black Panther blaster gauntlet thingos. That's what these are supposed to represent, but now they're more advanced and they're part of her suit. I'm never going to have her displayed wearing these because the amount of friction involved sliding these onto the sleeves is crazy. You are going to do damage to the suit, and I know I've harped on about that way too many times already, but it's delicate, so you are going to want to be careful. And when you're trying to insert the hands around the front, these teeth are super prickly, so you are going to spike yourself when you're trying to plug the hands on to keep the gauntlets in place. Something that I like, and I'm sure some of you do as well, is when a figure can get their arms hanging naturally down by their sides, nice and tight to the body. This just makes for a more convincing museum pose. The way they've achieved it with Shuri is they've hollowed out the underside of the armpit for the body underneath the suit. So when you bring her arm down, you can see it, the suit tucks into that crevice and it's not being pinched in there, it's not going to be damaged. There's just enough of a gap so that you can bring the arms down and they sit exactly where they're supposed to. Something that took me by surprise is the distinct lack of padding. Usually there's that gel-like layer underneath the outfit, whereas on Shuri there's only a little. There's some for her back, her midsection, and her upper torso. The legs are solid sculpted plastic all the way down to the ankles, so it's not like you're going to be fighting a layer of padding and then the suit. You're only going to have to fight the suit. There is some screen printed detail, including the dots and the triangular pattern, and the gold and silver panel work. These bits that are supposed to look like the tops of her boots are sculpted plastic, just like the pieces used for her shoulder pads. They've somehow managed to eliminate the ugly Black Panther ankles, and I am so happy about that because with Spidey figures, with Black Panther figures, even with Superman figures, the ankles looked atrocious. This, completely smooth, and they've still managed to include toe articulation. Striking that balance between aesthetics and functionality. This is what we were dealing with. It looks awful. The fabric is tucking into the ankle joint, which means over time it is going to eventually erode and it's going to tear, and that crease will be permanent. For Shuri, totally a non-issue. I was curious about this. It sort of works, but also kinda doesn't. The head looks a bit large for the body because it is bigger in scale as compared to the head that comes on the body out of the box. It also uses a bespoke clip mechanism to attach it to the Black Panther body, so it doesn't socket in place. The double ball peg is not compatible. The neck armor is grippy enough that friction will hold it in place unless you bump it or you get too dynamic with your posing. Actually, the more I look at it, and now with the eyes off to one side, I'm tempted to display Shuri like this. Somehow, at this angle, I can't really see the large head thing. Maybe the more I look at it, the more I forget about the stock head sculpt being slightly smaller. Do let me know in the comments below, do you like this, or do you think it looks terrible? Oh no, this head sculpt being as small as it is and sitting up as high as it does on the neck connector, I don't think this works at all. I will never be displaying my Black Panther wearing this head sculpt. You can remove this bracket piece and then the head sculpt will properly socket onto the double ball peg. So this is fully connected, it's not going anywhere. Maybe with a head tilt and at the right angle, this can look decent. It's just not for me. For a quick side-by-side comparison, on the left, Black Panther Shuri, and on the right, normal Shuri from the first Black Panther movie. As you can see, she is ever so slightly taller than herself. Don't let the big hair fool you. Look at the shoulders. The new one is taller at the shoulders compared to the original. There is a shared design language here because both of these suits were, after all, designed by Shuri. The shape and size of the helmet, the prominent nose with the little fangs down below, except Shuri's are painted in silver. There is a lot more bling on Shuri's costume. The fins on the forearms and on the top of the boots. But as you can see, T'Challa is significantly taller than Shuri. Do they look good standing together? Hell yeah, I have no problem whatsoever displaying them side by side, even though canonically speaking, it doesn't make a ton of sense to do so. T'Chaka is such an underrated figure. This guy for me was a must-have. As a Toy Fair exclusive, he slaps. He's big, he's beefy, he's using the 1.0 Civil War body. He's got the sash and the skirt and the pants and the Kimoyo beads and the gold accents. He stands out for all of the best reasons. He's visually distinct compared to all of the other Hot Toys Black Panther figures. Next to Shuri, the golds work well alongside one another, and this is her dad. So if you're doing some kind of ancestral plane situation with all of the Black Panther figures standing together in your collection, yeah, I reckon this works. I know I just said T'Chaka was a beast, and I stick by that. Killmonger is on a completely different level. The traps and shoulders and size of the neck and the bulk in the torso and the tree trunks for thighs on this figure, all of that is insane. This guy is also super underrated. He's significantly taller than his cousin. Yes, there are some design similarities here, but the Golden Jaguar suit is so different that I don't think these two mesh as well as some of the other comparisons we've done. I feel the same way about Hot Toys' most recent Black Panther release, their Civil War 2.0 T'Challa. He's still taller than Shuri, so height-wise it works, and he still has the silver accents, but the suit is a lot clunkier looking. It's got more panels and plates and intersecting bits and pieces that throw off the more streamlined appearance of Shuri's suit when you have them alongside one another. I think she works better with the solo movie Black Panther figure as compared to standing next to this guy. What a throwback. Yeah, nah, I couldn't bring myself to get rid of this guy, even though I have the new one. There's something about this being our first Hot Toys Black Panther that just made me want to keep him. I'm a little bit nostalgic, I suppose. Yes, he's outdated. Yes, the proportions don't make a ton of sense. But I don't care about any of that. This dude is a unit. Going over articulation, starting off with her head sculpt. It is on an articulated neck and a double ball peg up underneath the helmet. Looking forward to there, going back to there, heaps of range. Swivel and pivot side to side. Her arms will go up to there, going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going past 90, then for the wrist peg, a hinge and swivel. Crunching forward at the torso to there, but springs back a little, going back to there, swivel and pivot side to side. Her legs go forward to there. It almost looks like there's a rubbery overlay underneath the suit that's supposed to go over her thigh, so maybe mess around with it a little, futz with it, and then her legs will go slightly further forward. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Ratcheted double bend at the knee, going past 90. And then a double ball peg for the ankles, good for forward and back rotation as well as ankle tilt. Plus, toe articulation. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is, while the artwork is solid with this holographic panther head up on top, why is there no nameplate? Like, I get it, no matter which way you go, if you print Shuri or Black Panther on there, someone is going to get upset. But why not just give us swap out nameplates like you did for Ronin and Hawkeye? Printing nothing on the front just makes this base look weird. The second annoying thing is, I thought we were done with this, the suit going up into the head sculpt. This just isn't believable. It doesn't look right, especially in 2024. A simple piece of silicone that's thin enough to slide over the neck but underneath the head sculpt, painted to match the skin tone of the head itself, would have solved this, and it would have cost them practically nothing to do. The third annoying thing is, what the hell is this? Black Panther is a character that needs to be able to pull off crazy dynamic poses without looking stupid. And that's how I would describe this. Stupid. They 100% should have redesigned this hip area after they put the suit on the body and they realized that when you move the leg forward, it looks like this. The first cool thing is, this is a perfect head sculpt, at least as perfect as I've ever seen, in terms of likeness to Letitia Wright, skin texture, paint applications, and detail. But the icing on the cake, of course, is the moving eyes. This is our first Shuri head sculpt with moving eyes, and now that you can alter the expression simply by moving them off to the side and working with angles, I don't think I can go back to the other Shuri. This is now my favorite of the two. The second cool thing is if you happen to have a black light set up in your display, then you'll be able to make use of the luminous reflective pattern on the surface of the suit. The third cool thing, and I know it's not entirely accurate, the gauntlets are supposed to sit up here over her forearms. But if you wanted to, you could slide them down over her wrist pegs. The wrist area is the only part where the body isn't entirely seamless. So now with the wrist pegs covered, she is seamless from head to toe. Wrapping up on Hot Toys Black Panther, aka Shuri, based off her appearance in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This is a perfect Hot Toys Black Panther. That might not mean what you think it means, though. Let me explain. It's not a perfect figure. The material is still fragile, the hip articulation is quite strange, and she doesn't come with a ton of accessories. The nameplate on the base thing will just let that one slide. So, she isn't perfect. What do I mean by saying she's a perfect Hot Toys Black Panther? Well, this figure uses all of their most up-to-date modern technologies. The thicker, sturdier rubbery suit material with the sculpted plastic bits fused to it, and the seamless ankles and toe articulation, and the clip neck connector that allows for a head sculpt with moving eyes. Plus the luminous reflective stuff on the surface of the suit. So it's everything that they have mastered over the years with Black Panther distilled into one release. I hope that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is, for everything that this figure is supposed to nail, it does. Proportions, aesthetics, and accuracy to the movie. They took what we saw on screen, translated it to 1/6 scale, and they ticked a bunch of boxes in the process. The only other issue this release has nothing to do with the figure itself. It's what I like to call the Hot Toys line problem. Besides the other Black Panthers, who are we supposed to pose her with? We don't have Okoye, or M'Baku, or Nakia, or her mum even. Nor do we have the main villain from the movie in Namor. Why do we only have one figure from this line? That, I believe, is the real travesty. People are going to pass on her simply because there's no one to have her fighting yet, until we see her perhaps in a future movie, in the collection. Try not to hold that against Shuri, because this figure, in and of herself, is bloody brilliant. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you are comfortable before buying. I have popped a link to their site in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.